Hey, greetings everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jamie's Journeys. And today we are coming from the grand and bustling city of Shanghai, China. Now this is a place that I've been very fortunate to come to many times. Actually, the first time was in 1986. It's a completely different city then. In fact, when I think about all the places I've been in the world, and it totals over 400 ports of call around the world, but when I think about the one city that in my mind has overgone the most change, to me, it's Shanghai. I used to get out in Shanghai and ride my bicycle, and there were only bikes. There were no cars, very few cars, I should say, some trucks, but really I kind of had the streets to myself. Also, there were some great old areas in the city, but now those are really all gone. They've been replaced with high-rises, and it has really changed the face of the city and the heart of the city. But I must say, I still find Shanghai captivating. So what I thought we'd do today is we'll show you some of the sights of the city, and later we'll jump on some local transportation on the metro, and also take you to some of the other sites of the city. But I thought we'd start off in a place which is actually the old part of town, the part of town that really remains as it was. And we'll get some shots of the beautiful architecture here, and then we'll go in to the main part of that old city and show you the centerpiece of that area. So glad you're with us. Thanks for coming along on another Jamie's Journeys. Okay, if you want a unique souvenir, of course there's fans, which are beautiful. Those decorative fans look very nice in the house. But also these are exquisite, and I believe they're done in the Suzhou area, which is nearby. And they're very famous for having the artists create these. These are all hand done, which is really truly amazing. We'll show a few shots of them on a piece of silk, a plain piece of silk, and then they create these images, and it's done by very young artists, and as they're young because as they get older their eyesight isn't as good, because it's very difficult to create these images. So we'll show you a few, but it'll be a nice souvenir to take home. They're really exquisite. See, this is something that I've purchased in the past, and these are really great little items. You'll see them around, but this store has a lot of different items. But if, let's say you're going to a dinner party and you want to bring a bottle of wine, well, you can dress that bottle up, and you can get one of these, and you place the bottle of wine inside, and there's many different variations and sizes, and it's just when you bring the bottle to somebody, it looks so nice. So something else to consider, and so much wonderful silk all around. Once you get inside of the old city too, there's lots of local food stalls. While you do have to be careful what you eat in these areas, you do see a lot of dim sum places, and personally I've eaten my share of dim sum over the years and I've never had a problem, but that's one of my favorite dishes.
important business city. So many rich people, they running their company.
Oh, they run their companies here, yeah?
So that's why that.
Yeah.
I thought you have good business in
Yeah. Well, you're very fortunate to live here, I think. It's a beautiful country.
Yes, you are very fortunately often visiting Shanghai.
And where do you work?
I'm working in art gallery.
In an art gallery, so you're selling art?
Yes.
Like paintings?
Like paintings,
Yeah.
oil paintings, something like that.
Very good.
Very, how to say, bad business, not like you.
Oh, it's a bad business?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah. Well, very good. Well, you speak very nice English.
Oh, thanks.
Much better than my Chinese.
Oh, this is your who
My comrade.
your comrade.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Hi.
so we're going around and we shoot parts of the city.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you with your comrade coming to the Yu Garden.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, lovely to meet you, Joanna.
Nice
Yeah.
to meet you, Jamie.
Nice to have another friend in Shanghai. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye bye.
再见.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Lots of nice people here. She just came up and started a little conversation. Actually, out on the street before you come into the city, that's one of the areas too that you see a lot of the knockoff hawkers. People come up to you and trying to sell you constantly watches or whatever. And I don't know a lot of Chinese words. I do know goodbye, 再见. But one that works well for me that someone taught me is 不要. And it's a firm way of saying no, is how it's been explained to me. So when they come up to me, I always am very polite and tell them no. I tell them no again, and then I say 不要. Anyway, we're going to continue on into the old city. Well, it's a little noisy. They're doing some construction. Imagine that here in Shanghai. But this is the centerpiece of the Yu Yuan Garden, and it's the tea house. So it's set right in the middle of a water, and you have to walk on the bridge to get out to it. It's a great place to go and have tea, something to eat. I really enjoy that. If you ever see a Chinese bridge in the middle of like a water garden, you'll see that it's zigzag. The reason it's zigzag, if it was a straight line, you wouldn't spend as much time on the bridge enjoying the view. By having a zigzag bridge, it forces you to take your time and take it all in. We're going to do that right now. Well, I like this shot from here, right at the tea house, because you get a look at what China was, and then look to what China's become. Well, the tea house is directly in front of me, but this is the actual Yu Yuan Garden. And it dates back to 1559 and is really a most excellent example of traditional Chinese gardening. However, unfortunately, they don't allow our video inside, so you'll have to see it from here, but definitely a place you should visit when you come to this area. See, another great little souvenir item are the Chinese stamps. And what it is, it's a stamp that comes in many different qualities. You can even get them up to nice jade. But what they do is they'll carve your name in Chinese characters and then they sell with you a little ink pad. And you can take that and you stamp your envelope, give your personal stamp. So you can, of course, buy them for your friends, your family, your grandkids, or even yourself. But a nice little souvenir from China. Well, we left the old town, which is a section of the city. In fact, in Shanghai, there's many different sections that you can go to. In fact, if you get a local map, which is always good to have, especially in Shanghai, it's color-coded, the different sections. So we've now gone from the old town to what's the old French concession area. Now, the French concessions area started in about 1840, 1842. They were the first to come here at the end of the first Opium War. And what they did, they set up literally a French colony. You'll see some tree-lined areas that we're going to go to. The trees were brought in from France, and it was called the Paris of the East. Now, this behind me is an example of an old Tudor-style home, and there were several of these mansions around, so formerly occupied by a French businessman, but after the French left in 1949, when the communists came, this then became the first home of the mayor of Shanghai, the first communist mayor of Shanghai. And now it is the arts and crafts market. So we'll get out on the street and we'll show you a little bit of the French concession area. One thing about the different areas or concessions during that time, in the 1920s, several different concessions were set up. You had the American concession, you had the British, you had the Japanese, and all were their own separate district. In fact, each had their own police force. So part of the problem in that era, because there was so much crime, was because if you committed a crime and you're American and you're in the American section, you could just cross the street into, say, the French section, and it was operated by a totally different police force and they didn't work together. So you could do that all throughout the city. Anyway, a very historical part of town, and we'll show you a little part of it. We're in the what's now the Arts and Crafts Museum, and there's a lot of nice things for sale and also wonderful things on display. But we thought we'd give you maybe a little taste of the exquisite French architecture as well. Well, we are still in the French section, but we're on Fuxing Road and cross-section of Fengyang. But as you can see, beautiful tree-lined streets with the original trees that came from France. And this just highlights this beautiful area. But what I like about it too is that they've created storefronts out of what were formerly houses, and for all I know they might even live above them, but they're like boutiques, nice small shops. You'll find some very nice reproductions as well, but I think it's a lovely area to shop. Well, we're now still in the French section, but this is a nice museum stop that really the tourists don't go to. So if you want to see something that's a bit different, it's actually the museum of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, and he is really considered the father of modern-day China, and he was really the head of the country as the predecessor to the Cultural Revolution. So you can go inside and tour around his home and see some artifacts, but a good place to visit. All right, we've left the French concession area, and that's a really pretty section, as you've seen, but now we've come to what was the American section, and it's in the district or the section of the city called Torlenlu. And here you can find the Hong De Tang Church. This is a church that was built in 1928, but it's unique in that it's the only Christian church, maybe in all of China, that is a Christian church, but with the Chinese architecture. Well, the Japanese came and started to take over China in 1937, and shortly thereafter, once they established themselves in the city, this plaque commemorates that this building behind was where the Japanese Navy headquarters were in Shanghai. Well, we're just a short ways down from where the church is, but this is the Torlenlu Cultural Street. This area here, the building was the new European-style building for this area in 1920. But this whole section was famous for writers. And as you walk down the street, you'll see there's many different bronze statues, which really makes it quite charming. It's also a place where you'll never see a tour bus coming down, so I highly recommend to come here and have a nice walk. There's a charming and historical area. This really is just a charming and delightful place to take a walk. This was just a Chinese government building back in the 1930s. But when the Japanese came in, this ended up to be their headquarters for the military. These were their offices right here. So again, this is not just a cultural area, but it's such a historical area due to the Japanese occupation. In fact, as you walk through this street, you'll see a lot of these, which tells you what it was. This was also occupied by the Japanese army, though you do need a local translator to help decipher what it was, but you'll see that all up and down the street. Well, we're now strolling on what many people consider to be one of the 7 great streets in the world. and this is a Nanjing Road. It begins all the way at the waterfront, or the Bund, and about 3-4 blocks up from the Bund, it turns into this wonderful pedestrian street. It's full of neon signs at night, brightly lit, but it's also a historical road. A lot of the buildings date back to the 1800s, about the 1870s, but they've been covered up with modern-day facades. And just behind us, there's some wonderful architecture dating back to the 1920s. After a couple hours of shopping, you can take one of these trams. They run from one end to the next of the shopping street. This costs about 2 yuan to hop on and take a lift. Anyway, just a wonderful place to come and walk and to shop, or even to people watch. That's good too. All right, looking over my shoulder is 2 very historic buildings. The dark stone one behind me is the Park Hotel. That's been here quite a long time, but up until about 1985, that was the tallest building in all of Shanghai. Now, when that hotel was popular, right across the street is what's called now People's Park. People's Park is now a botanical garden, but it was known as, it was originally, well not originally, but when the British were here, it was actually a place for horse racing. So they would have a track that went around the park. Now the other building off to my other shoulder is actually the one with the clock tower. That is now something else, but at the time it was the British Horse Racing Office. So that is the place where you would place your bets. It still exists today, of course. But again, now the park has completely changed. Actually, during the Communist Revolution, the park was a place for parades, also a place of demonstrations. So it's quite historical, but completely changed from what it was maybe 40, 60 years ago. All right, what we're gonna do now, we've seen a bit of what was left of the old city and some historical buildings and areas. But what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take you to a place that in the 1980s, up until about 1990, what you're gonna see, which is now a big financial district, well, it was cabbage and rice fields. Hard to believe. I was here in the mid-80s, and now to see that it's grown up to a big financial center. It's called Pudong. We're gonna go on the metro and take it down and go across, and the metro is going under a great expansion, but it's really easy to use, and it's also a great way to get around. Right, if you pick up a map from either the ship or the hotel you're staying at, as I said, the different sections of the cities are shown in different colors, but also you see the underground metro line, which has gone under great expansion in the last several years, and from what I understand, it will continue to do so. Anyway, this is the terminal for 3 lines at the People's Square. You can take 1, 2, or 8. We're gonna hop on number 2. That will take us under the Huangpu River and over to Pudong, the newest part of the city. All right, I'm now downstairs, ready to get my ticket. There's several kiosks set up. There's also a booth, and the people here are quite helpful. But here's the way you do it. First off, you need a yuan bill, less than 50 yuan. Here is a picture of the lines, numbered. I know I want number 2. So I press 2. I know I need English. I know I want Century Park. That's where I'm going. And now, that's what I need. 1. Wait for the light to light up. Put your money in. And presto, time to get on the train. By the way, this machine. You don't slide it in. You take your card to the back side and you just go. All right, well, we just took the train 6 stops down to Century Park, and cannot emphasize the train. It's so easy. Once you're even on the train, lights light up showing you where you're going to be. It doesn't tell you the time that you're going to get there, like say Tokyo's trains do, but the lights do show up station to station, and also there's an English voice that comes on and tells you which stop is next. So really very, very nice. So in Century Park, the reason I wanted to show you this is if you have some time on your hand and you just kind of want to get out of the city, well, we're really in the city, but we're out of the city. It's so quiet and peaceful out here. Man-made park. Again, all of this back in the mid-1980s, it was all farmland. And now, look at it. It's absolutely amazing. And once we get to the back to the financial district, certainly even more impressive. But here you can take a boat ride. It goes all the way around the park, which could be great fun. And also there's bikes, you know, special kind of bikes that you can ride as a couple. All right, so we found a vendor that is selling corn and a sweet potato. Could I have one sweet potato? This one here? Yeah. And is that how much? 3? That good? So that's 3 yuan. 谢谢. Good. And they're nice and hot, so we'll give her a try. See how it is. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. Kwak Kwak Joe. Kwak Kwak Joe. I'm not sure what that means, but they always laugh when I say it. Kwak Kwak Joe. Okay, the big test. Is it really a sweet potato? That's good. Thank you. It's very nice. 谢谢. Well, I gotta tell you, taxis get so easy to get around. They're all metered. It's all in the, you know, RMB, yuan, which makes it real simple. But what you can do, you can actually get a card at the metro station, and the card, if you're gonna be here for a few days, the card, you can. You have to get at least 100 yuan worth of money in the card, and after that you can keep refilling the card at like 10, 20 yuan at a time. But it's a great way to, you can use the card in the taxi cabs, on the metro, on the trains, and it really makes it easy. Anyway, taxi is a very simple way to get around here, so keep that in mind. Very cheap too. All right, behind me has become an icon of the new city of Shanghai, and this is the TV tower. And when you look at the TV tower, you'll see 2 large balls, one at the bottom, one at the top, and both of those are for the tourists. Now, you can pay to go all the way up to the top and get a nice view of the city, but then there's 5 smaller balls in between. And each of those is part of what's called the Space Hotel, a very, truly unique place to stay in Shanghai. Well, there's not much really to buy over on here on Padong. It's really mostly new business buildings, and but the buildings are truly sensational. We're going to show you a couple. First 2 I'll show you are actually, one is the Grand Hyatt Hotel, built in the shape of a pagoda, There's a restaurant up on top there that you can go and dine and have lunch and dinner. I've done it myself, very nice. But what's interesting is the inside of the Grand Hyatt Hotel. It's almost like a cylinder, and it's really, really neat. The other building is the Financial Center, now one of the tallest buildings in the world. But what makes it unique is truly the design of that building as well. But at the very top of it, there's a place where you can pay to go up, and there's what's called the Space Walk, where you are walking over glass panels, which of course you're looking down to the top of the building and the ground. They don't like video cameras up there, but it's definitely something worth considering. From the 54th floor of the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Well, we are now in the area of Xintiandi, and this is a very, very popular and wonderful place to dine out. So many different restaurants, really nice, not like outrageous in price, just with good atmosphere. I should say excellent atmosphere, great food. Definitely the place to come and dine, Xintiandi. Well, we're losing the light, and that's about all the time we have. And I just want to say thanks for joining us on Jamie's Journeys. We didn't get a shot of the Bund today, and the Bund is it's a walkway where people do Tai Chi in the morning, exercises. It's where they take the most popular shot over to Padang. But right now, as we're shooting, that's under construction. We couldn't even get near it. But it's right along the old wharf, which is the location of the Peace Hotel, and the preserved a lot of the old buildings. And that's a great place to walk and to be. But anyway, again, it's been good to have you along. Thank you very much. And me again on another Jamie's Journeys. Saichen.